Mondays at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time. Welcome to the show, everyone, from Mock Draft 1. I want to talk about the 49ers picks. Going to go through all 7 rounds and just go through and have a fun draft. Hope you guys will all enjoy this, because when it comes down to it, getting an idea of what the 49ers are going to do in this draft is going to be pivotal. I'm going to be using Pro Sports Network mock draft simulator to go ahead and build this. So thanks for joining me so much. Like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you're listening to audio platform, 49ers Cutback on Believe. We're going to bet with Bet Online. It's down to the final 4 teams. Bet Online has your tournament bracket headquarters all March long. And now that we're almost down to the finals, we're still got one more in store. Major League Baseball is here, and the NBA, NHL playoffs are around the corner. As always, Bet Online is your number one source for your summer sports wagering. Head to Bet Online today to stay updated on all the action. And remember to use the promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, the game starts here. So let's go ahead and let's get into this mock draft and just go through and talk about what the 49ers could do as far as picks. Because I think this is going to be an interesting one. And of course, the thought processes are always, do we trade up? Do we trade back? What do we do? Well, we got to let this thing play out. I think there's some players the 49ers would love to get their hands on. A lot of these offensive tackles, Joe Alt, Fashanu, those guys are big-time players. Fuaga, and, these guys, Fatanu, probably are not going to be available. JC Latham, Amarius Mims, they're possibly going to be gone. We're going to see who ends up coming down to the 49ers pick at 31. So we're going to run this a little bit, and we'll see where it goes. You guys can see I have it paused. And we're just going to see what happens here in this draft. Caleb Williams, Drake May, no surprise there. Quarterbacks early. Now there goes Fashanu, there goes Alt. So 2 of the offensive tackles are down in the first 10 picks. Dallas Turner, Fuaga, Fatanu is gone. Now Jared Verse goes. If Jared Verse would have gotten into the 20s, that's a guy I would have been interested in trading up for, because Jared Verse, to me, is a transcendent player in this draft. I think he's one of the elite edge rushers in the entire draft, but he's off the board, and so is some of my favorite tackles. Fuaga and Fatanu are both gone, which you look over here, and that means you've got Latu still available. Terrion Arnold, who to me, the best cornerback in this draft. Marius Mims, lots of injury concerns, but absolute monster. Be a fit for the 49ers. Normally, these huge, big offensive tackles don't make sense for the 49ers, but there was one point where I thought Aaron Banks didn't make sense for the 49ers because of his size. They've went a little bit of different ways, so they got lots of players here available. Of course, Jackson Powers Johnson still available. A center I do believe the 49ers would be interested in if he's available at 31. So here we go again. Now he's gone. Arnold's gone. Wiggins gone. So run on cornerbacks here from 17 through 19. Arnold from Alabama. Nate Wiggins from Clemson. I see Wiggins as a second-round talent, but he's gone. Kool-Aid McKinstry out of there. And now J.C. Latham to the Steelers. So top 20, you see a lot of guys going. Now, Latu is still available. And if he slips too much more, I might be interested in trading up. And I think as far as this goes, that would be the only player I'd be interested in going up for, because I think he's the elite talent that could help the 49ers right away. Brian Thomas goes. Keon Coleman goes. Bo Nix goes. Here we go to the Cowboys. Latu's still available. I'm starting to get tempted now. Marius Mims goes to the Cowboys. They needed to go ahead and get an offensive tackle. I mean, this would be moving up 6 spots to get a premier edge rusher. How much do you want to give up? I think this is a dangerous game to play. There goes Tyler Guyton. Now you're getting to Tampa Bay. They probably do need an edge rusher. But what would you be willing to give up to potentially go up? It's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot to go up and get him. But I mean, he's a big time player. But I think I'm going to let it play out. I don't want to do a lot of trade ups in this particular mock draft. If there he goes right there to Tampa Bay. So I mean, what would we have to give up to get him? A lot. You would have had to give up, a good haul to go ahead and get him, but he would have been a premier talent. Graham Barton goes. I don't think the 49ers would take Barton at 31 unless they see him as an offensive tackle. I see him as an offensive guard the same way that Pro Sports Network's mock draft does as well. But he goes to the Cardinals. Byron Murphy, the big defensive tackle, the Texans trade up to get him. What a move that was. Of course, Johnny Newton is still available. That's a big-time defensive tackle there. Christian Haynes, the offensive guard from UConn, goes to the Lions. And now Chop Robinson. So the 49ers are on the clock. And right off the bat, we have a trade. Arizona's offering pick 35, so going back 4 spots, getting Philadelphia's 5th rounder. Now, 49ers did lose a 5th round pick, so that's enticing. You go back 4 spots. And here's the Carolina Panthers. And this is a type of deal I'm really interested in. Here you have them offering you to drop back 2 spots into the 2nd round, and they're going to take pick 176 and give you 101. So you're going to move up 75 spots on that particular trade. So let's go ahead and hide this for a second, see which players are still available. Johnny Newton, a big-time defensive tackle, still available. Cooper DeJean still available as well. You've got good talent there. Adonai Mitchell, he's available. They're probably, I don't know if Carolina would be coming up to get Penix Jr. They're probably coming up to get a wide receiver, I would guess. But you got some really talented player. Morgan, so Matthias still available. Offensive tackle still there. Johnny Newton and Cooper DeJean. I would love to walk away with one of those guys. I think both of those guys are big-time players. So I am very interested in this trade. I think going back 2 spots, but then being able to go with pick 101 instead of 176, you're talking into the 3rd round compared to into the 5th round. That's a huge difference in value of player. So I'm going to go ahead and trade back here. I don't want to do a lot of trades, but this one just makes a lot of sense. You have a lot of players on the board that you'd like to get. Moving back to, there goes Mitchell. There goes Samatia. So now Kansas City's trying to jump back up, and they want to go 64-95, 433. Not interested. Not interested in either one of those trades, to be honest. But here we are at 33. We've got Johnny Newton, defensive tackle. Dude is an absolute beast. Would fit the 49ers system really good. But you just got Malik Collins. You just went out and got other guys that are going to fill roles for your team. To me, I don't know. I don't know if you want to go there. I love Cooper here. I think he would be a solid value for the 49ers. And, I mean, both of these guys are studs that fit in. Now, I have to go where need meets best player available. So these guys would be really close for me as far as rankings. So I know the 49ers have a need. I know we went out and we got a cornerback, and that's good. I mean, that's what you have to do. You have to go get players that you feel. And they went out and they got Isaac Yiadom, and he's probably going to push to start on the outside in obvious nickel situations so Deommodore Lenoir can move inside. But you get a Cooper DeJean, and you're going to get a guy that could come in and right away step in and at least play nickel. But he can play on the outside as well. So you got a versatile player, very physical at the point of attack, could be very solid in that nickel role if you want to keep Deommodore Lenoir on the outside. But also, if you want to put Demo inside, you could put Cooper on the outside. To me, this one makes a lot of sense. Newton right away would be able to, be a beast, and he would definitely cause some problems on the inside. This would cause an internal battle. And I know we haven't really talked about Jordan Morgan, who I see as a 2nd round pick. So, I mean, here he is a 2nd round. I think he's more of a late 2. We got Zach Frazier, the center. I don't think the 49ers would go that way. I think Cooper being here is just too much. I'm going to go ahead and take Cooper with pick 33. So we did move up. We got 75 spots that we moved up by dropping 2 spots. Both players we were potentially targeting were still available. And now we're going to take Cooper DeJean here at pick 33, the first pick of the 2nd round. San Francisco 49ers get the cornerback that they're looking for. And it's one of those things with value. All the offensive linemen you really wanted went earlier. You see Jordan Morgan still sitting here as the second round goes. This is kind of what I'm anticipating happening. Johnny Newton going just now. There goes Morgan at 48. I think he's a top 50 player, but pretty close to 50. And as you can see, I'm just letting this thing go. I'm not really willing to trade up right now. We lost, potential to get a guy. There's a couple guys that right there that I would have liked to get, like a Max Melton. But we're going to get a trade offer here from Denver. Pick 121, 136. I mean, this is an unrealistic trade, in my opinion. You're not going to fall back 60 picks. Even though they're giving you a third and a fourth the next year, I don't think that's very realistic. And then Minnesota's wanting to give, 3 pretty good picks and a third rounder in 2025. We're just going to stay there. I see some players here that I like. First off, if we want to go defensive tackle, here's Chris Jenkins. Now, he's not as good, as what we just passed on, but he's a very solid player. But I'm seeing right here, and you have Michael Hall as well, a good defensive tackle, but you got Jatavion Sanders out of Texas. And this is, if you're looking to go tight end, you're looking to give weapons, this is a possibility. The 49ers have been sniffing around tight ends that could be tied into with George Kittle. Jatavion Sanders has met with the 49ers. Jaheim Bell, another one that's met with the 49ers out of Florida State that's going to be available later. So there's some guys here. And you see defensive tackle Braden Fisk. Told you I'm a Florida State guy. So I've seen Braden Fisk play a lot. I am a fan of his game. And to me, this will be a really good spot. And here's where it gets tempting for a couple of guys. Ricky Pearsall, I think, is an absolute stud in this draft. I think he can make a lot of big things happen. He's athletic. He's a guy that can go out there and make plays. He would be very solid here. And Cole Bishop, who's flying under the radar at the safety position, but is absolutely solid. Now, do you go secondary back-to-back? One of those things where Cole Bishop could be available as your safety 3. He's going to have to learn. I think more than likely a couple, not this year, but next year he'd be available to step in. So I like him a lot. There's some safeties I like. Devon Bullard being another one. So talent here, I see Roger Rosengarten, as we haven't got an offensive lineman yet. He could potentially be somebody the 49ers would be interested in. But I want to get weapons for Brock Purdy. The 49ers like to run their 12 and 22 personnel. They like to get another tight end that can make plays. And I don't know what Cameron Latu is going to be. I think they want Cameron Latu to be a big-time player, but I don't know. And I don't think I saw enough from Braden Willis to believe that he's going to be able to ascend. So I think the 49ers are going to make some moves. And I think right now the potential is a tight end 2 could be there. But I want to surround Brock Purdy with the most amount of weapons. And I think Sanders is somebody that could potentially come in and help the 49ers team in 2024. And getting over the hump is a big reason why. Charlie Warner left. Inserting a tight end that can make plays down the field is something I would love to do. Now, I could wait and I could go with a Jaheim Bell later and get a different player right now. Or I could go ahead and get that big-time bona fide stud player that I believe can make some big-time plays for my football team. And I'm going to do that. I want to add weapons. I want to add players. I want to add people that are not just going to help down the road, but are going to help the 49ers get over the hump right now in 2024. Tavion Sanders, tight end out of Texas, is going to be the pick. And then we'll kind of watch the board and see what happens. Maybe would be willing to jump up. I did get some draft capital earlier, but for the most part, I like to let this thing play out and see who falls. Cedric Gray goes next, a good linebacker. You see Chris Jenkins go. We're going to get some of these good-time players. Cole Bishop goes to New York, a safety that I really like in this draft. So Braden Fisk to Minnesota. There goes Roger Rosengarten, a pretty good tackle that would have been a good value in round 3 if he would have been available for the 49ers. But right now, that's not the avenue that it's going. And the way that Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have been approaching free agency, they feel pretty confident with the offensive line. And, hey, I know that this is, a lot of us want to see them improve the offensive line, me included. But I try to keep that mindset of what the 49ers would do. And I think this is kind of the direction they go. If Rosengarten would be available, maybe. Don't go for him at 63, but if he's available at 94, maybe you have to jump up to 85. That's potentially a spot to go. Now, the Chargers want us to drop back 11 spots, and then they want to trade 140 for pick 215. So 9 spots potentially going back. we'll go ahead and see who's on the board because 9 spots is a big move, but you would gain some tread the other way. Now, there's a ton of players right here that I really like. Renardo Green, cornerback. I like him a lot. Now, I already went and got Cooper, so I got Cooper to 1. I don't really need a cornerback, even though Renardo Green is a great guy who could play the slot. Here in Emma he's a really solid player out of Yale. I don't think I'm as high on him as everybody else. I think this guy's got a lot of upside, but I don't see a lot right now. I didn't see the dominant ability that I wanted to see from him and the competition level that he was playing against. So Emma I don't see it right now. For me, I wouldn't draft him here. I think more 4th round. Pretty much this is the end of the 3rd round. Johnny Wilson, I like Johnny Wilson more than most. I know he has drops, but I've seen this guy make big time plays. And on 3rd down, he was huge for Florida State. Dominic Puny is a guy that I absolutely love in this draft. I think this guy has a lot of potential. If you don't get Graham Barton early, Dominic Puny would make a lot of sense going ahead and getting him and playing him on the inside. He could play guard or center, guy that played tackle at Kansas but could move inside. I like him a lot. This is a good spot potentially for him, so I'm not ignoring him. Just like Dwayne Carter, I like him for defensive tackle. I think he's a beast. He's got a pretty good first step. He's been one of the ones that I've been a huge fan of. Now, Mike Sandersill, once again, another nickel corner that if I wouldn't have went nickel corner already or potentially corner, I would be interested in. So still not fully away from that yet. So do we want to go back 9 spots potentially? Let's look at that draft. And here you have it, 11 spots to get 140. Man, that's tough because you could potentially lose out on all these players that you want. Now, I know Jeremiah Trotter, linebacker, would be enticing. I think Dwayne Carter standing out to me as a player, Dominic Puny standing out to me as an offensive lineman that I could be interested in. Let's go ahead and look at some of the offensive tackles that are still available. Blake Fisher, we drop back, we could potentially get him. None of these guys are really exciting for me as far as guys to go ahead and get. So, I mean, I do like Zach Zinter a lot. He's a guy that I could definitely see going and getting later as far as offensive line. So, we still got some good centers. We got Bortolini and Bo Limmer. So, we got some guys in the interior if we don't want to go puny. But, I mean, I'm very, very tempted to just go with the offensive tackle here, or I'm sorry, the offensive guard, Dominic Puty, and just let him go ahead and go out there and compete on the interior offensive line. We do have a pick at 101, which we could come back and do some things with. So I think we're gonna go with Dominic here. I like him a lot. If you guys aren't very familiar with him, he's a solid player. And I think that he's kind of flying under the radar. Good Senior Bowl. To me, this is a guy that I really like. So I'm going to go ahead and take him. 49ers going at offensive line here with their pick 94. You see Renardo Green go off. Mike Sanders still going off as well. Now, Dwayne Carter is still available. Defensive tackle out of Duke. I like him a lot. Once again, I want to get guys that can make plays. I think he's one of those guys. We got guys coming up later on as well. We're going to be picking at 124. We've already got our tight end. This is kind of that no man's land. Now, we haven't got any edge guys yet. There's some guys coming up that we could potentially go with. I like Tyrese Knight, linebacker here. Zach Zinter, of course, we talked about, but we just got our guy with Puty. So, to me, this is an opportunity to go ahead and get a very good player in Dwayne Carter and solidify that defensive tackle spot. Competition for Kalia Davis. But this is a big guy that moves really well. Going to go ahead and go with Dwayne Carter there with pick 101. So that was the pick we got back from going ahead and stepping back. Of course, we missed out on potentially getting Johnny Newton, but now we get Dwayne Carter. Now, he's not quite in that realm, but he's got a lot of talent. He's got a lot of ability. So now we're sitting at 124. We're coming up on it right now. Brendan Rice just went 122. I know a lot of people would love to get him. So we've addressed defensive tackle. So right here's where it gets interesting. See Malik Mustafa, pretty good safety. Ray Davis, one of my favorite running backs. But I don't know how much a running back is going to make an impact for the San Francisco 49ers in 2024. You've got 3 guys ahead of him, Elijah Mitchell, Jordan Mason, backing up Christian McCaffrey. Running back, this might be a little early. Now, Devon Solomon, a lot of people really like him. I need to do more film on him. Chow Smith Wade, 49ers have met with him. Pretty good film. Jaheim Bell would normally be a target, but we already got Jatavion Sanders, so we can't go that way. Javon Baker, now, here we go. Weapon for the 49ers to potentially put in there. They've met with Javon Baker at a UCF. It's a guy he's played big Power 5 football, got a lot of ability. He's one of those guys that's springy, can go up and get the football. He's exciting. Zenter, I would normally go with, but I already went with Puny, so I got my guy on the inside. I'm really tempted to go wide receiver here because I see a very talented guy there. Now, I like Evan Williams here, but we're starting to get down there a little bit. Guys that we're going to have more picks to come up on later. I like Jonah Ellis here as well. That's somebody I would target. The spin move from Jonah Ellis. You guys haven't watched Pac-12 football. Jonah Ellis' spin move is absolutely brilliant. Now, he's undersized, doesn't have the size of everybody else, 6'2", 248. So he's not a guy that is going to be your prototypical defensive end. But if you're bringing in a guy that gets off the ball quick, who has a crazy motor, and can absolutely put together some really good spin moves and plays, Jonah Ellis is one of those guys. I like him a lot. He could be a guy that I'm interested in. So there's some really good talent here as the 49ers are going to pick 124. Some of it, of course, you're not going to address. You know, a lot of people really like Theo Johnson. We already got our tight end, Jerry Jones. We already got our cornerback, and we could go cornerback again, or we could go edge rush, or we could go receiver, and I'm going to go receiver first. I don't want to miss out on Javon Baker. I want to bring him in. I want to have him as wide receiver 4, competing with Danny Gray, Chris Conley, and Ronnie Bell. I think he could be an upgrade there. And plus, I want him to be ready to go in 2 years because Juwan Jennings more than likely could leave after the season if he gets offered a big deal. This would make the 49ers be sitting in the catbird seat if he did leave. We have a guy that's already played one season. We've seen rookie wide receivers, struggle a little bit with Kyle Shanahan's system. So this would allow an opportunity for him to grow. So in 2025, he can make an impact if 1 or 2 of the 49ers wide receivers are moving on. Javon Baker is the pick for the 49ers at 124. So now we're seeing some other guys go. Ray Davis, I love Ray Davis, and he goes to the Texans. Why not? It fits. One of my safeties, Evan Williams, goes out of Oregon. I really like him. So here we are at pick 132, and we know that there's some guys. Bo Limmer, don't really need to go there now. We have Solomon. I like Solomon a lot. You have Smith Wade if we want to go with another cornerback. The 49ers have met with him. That makes sense. Center, like I said, I would normally go there. Probably not going to go there. I like Jonah Ellis a lot. I'm very tempted to go Jonah Ellis here. I like Tyke Smith as well. 5'10", 202. But this is a guy that can play nickel. He's got a lot of versatility at the safety position. He fits what the 49ers want to do. Daquan Hardy tested through the roof. A lot of talent there, but I don't see the film. I just don't get it as far as this high in the draft. To me, I like Xavier Thomas as well. This is another guy that's undersized. So there's a couple of guys I really like. I think on this first pick, I'm going to go with Jonah Ellis. I like Jonah Ellis a lot. I like his motor. I like his speed. I like his technique on his spin. I think he can make some plays. 49ers need to go edge, and I think Jonah Ellis gives them the opportunity to do so. I'm going Jonah Ellis here at this pick. So here we are. We're getting offered a pick. We can go back 15 spots, pick up 150 and 168. There are still players that I really like. Now, going from 251 to 168 is a huge jump. I like that a lot. This is the type of move that I would like. 15 spots back. Yeah, you might lose out on a couple of guys, but you're going to pick up the opportunity to get another pretty good pick there. 251's going pretty deep. Go ahead and take this trade. And the 49ers are off the clock. Smith Wade goes off the board. Bo Limmer, we weren't going to go there anyway. There's Hardy. So we're seeing a couple of guys that we really liked going off the board. Some of these guys, the 49ers were not going to be interested in the way the board is played out. There goes Solomon right there. So I'm not going to take this trade from Green Bay. I'm not looking to get that many more picks. So you got Jaheim Bell, solid player. Here's Zach Zinter. I mean, I know we addressed interior offensive line. You probably don't want to go there again. That one is getting, if he's there at 168, I might have to go there just because of value. So here you see McCaffrey. We went wide receiver already. There's some pretty good players still available. Developmental offensive tackle, Garrett Greenfield. You've got Xavier Thomas. I like Xavier Thomas a lot as an edge rusher. Would the 49ers go 2 edge rushers and 2 undersized edge rushers potentially? They got questions there. I like Tyrese Knight, 6 foot, 233 pounds, can really move. I like him. There's some linebackers I like in this draft. So let's take a look at linebacker. Tyrese Knight, huge fan. There's some guys later that I really like too. Nathaniel Watson, I like. Jordan McGee as well. Kalen DeLoach is a absolute speed demon. Those are guys you could probably address with linebacker later on in this draft. Offense, we went offensive line. We did not go offensive tackle. But offensive tackle, are any of these guys going to make the team? I think that's the question. Maybe Christian Jones, potentially. But other than that, I mean, these guys are all developmental. So we went interior offensive line. We did not go offensive tackle. Maybe that's a miss in this draft. But there just wasn't really those key guys at the right spots that were available for the 49ers. Wide receiver, we addressed. Running back, we're not looking to go. Quarterback, I like Austin Reed. That's later. I like Devin Leary, but that's later. So to me, let's just see what's on the board. See what the best possible player is. I like Knight. I like Zinter. I don't think I go 2 interior offensive linemen, especially this early with Zinter. But I do like Xavier Thomas, and I think, let me check edge real quick, because there's another guy that I really like. So I do like Muhammad Kamara. I like his speed, his athleticism. And I don't know what they're doing to my guy. Let's see if he's Braden McGregor. They got listed at 338. 6'5", 257 was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. A lot of potential. The production's not there, but I like him a lot. But it looks like we could wait and get him in the end of the 6th round. So it just depends on what we want to do. Xavier Thomas has got explosiveness, 6'2", 244, a lot of ability. I like him a lot. Kamara, same sort of thing, a little bit shorter, but he's got crazy speed in space. This is a dude that's got ability to bring it in a big way. Interesting. Got some interesting choices here to make. But I think overall, between the guys, I could get a safety here. Tyke Smith. I think I'm going to go with the edge rusher. I think the 49ers double down. The odds are one of them are gonna come up and make something happen. Xavier Thomas, pick 150. So that's one we got from trading back. We're gonna have another one coming up at 168. There goes Christian Jones, the tackle. So the Lions take Isaiah Davis, the running back. Minnesota takes Dylan McMahon right in front of us. So Zinter's still available. So here's where my problem lies. I think he is by far the best player left on the board. I don't even think it's close at this point. I like him a lot as far as the guys that are left on this board. We don't need an edge rusher now. We've completely exhausted that. Another tight end. We don't really need to go another tight end. Another interior offensive lineman. I don't think so. Here's one, though. Sione Vaki. 49ers have met with him. He has position versatility. This might be a little bit early for Vaki, but there's potential that we would not get him if we wait until pick 211. So we have to decide, do we want to take Vaki a little bit early, or if there's other safeties that really get us, but we know the 49ers are interested in Sione Vaki, potentially bringing him in. What's crazy is, Zach Zinter is a star player for me. I think he's a very good player. I like his steadiness. I think he would be a solid player for the 49ers. I think he'd be a real key, component, but we win offensive lineman already. So I think we're going to go with Sione Vaki. To me, Sione Vaki makes a lot of sense. I would have him ranked a little bit higher than they have him ranked. I like his versatility. He could be a linebacker. He could be a safety. Sione Vaki, pick 168. So now it's going to run a little bit. And you see Zinter goes off the board. It hurts my heart a little bit. That's one of the guys that I really, really enjoy. So he's off the books. And we'll see what the 49ers are going to be having available coming up at pick 211. We see a lot of players going off the board. Here's where it gets interesting because now it's like in the eye of the beholder. Which guys, that you really think have that elite trait, something about them that kind of sets them apart from everybody else. And that's what you're looking for, elite traits. And if you can find them, great. It doesn't always exist, but you'll be willing to double up on positions here in this part of the draft if you can find a player. And you see right here, Joe Milton, he has elite traits. I don't think he fits the 49ers system, but to me, he makes a lot of sense. We have Austin Reed right here. I think he would be a solid quarterback for the 49ers. And we know we only have 2 picks left. We traded away 251. So we got to make sure we get the guys that we want to get here. I talked earlier about going and getting a linebacker, and I thought there were some guys available. And there's one guy that I really like that's available, Nathaniel Watson. I know he says 261. I see him better than that. 6'2", 233. He's a tackler. He can make some plays there. I like him. I'm gonna go Nathaniel Watson, 260, to help at the linebacker room. Doesn't mean he's gonna have a spot, but right now you're taking guys and you're hoping there's gonna be some upside. And I'm gonna go with another safety right here, Millard Bradford. Okay, I don't know if you guys have heard anyone talk about Millard Bradford, but I'm not playing him as a safety. I'm drafting him as another nickel corner. I like his physicality around the ball. He's 5'10", 191. Dude gave up just over 50% as far as completion percentage on him. He's got a lot of ability here. And at this spot, you're drafting guys you think can come in, and he's a dog. Millard Bradford, you probably won't hear him on very many podcasts, very many people talking about him, but I've come across his film. I've become a huge fan. And I think at this spot, you could probably get him undrafted free agent. But I want to make sure that he's on my team. And I know I got Vaki earlier, and I know that, he might come in and play linebacker. So I'm looking at it. I got 2 linebackers potentially with Nathaniel Watson. I don't know if Vaki's going to be. Play Vaki at fullback. I can play him at running back, right? A lot of versatility. But Millard Bradford, I know what I'm going to get with him. A nickel corner potential, but also some safety depth to come in and compete. I like it. Millard Bradford is going to be the pick here at 215. And so the draft's going to play out. The 49ers are now off the clock after making some trades to get rid of picks like 251 and increase the value on some of the picks early on and turn 7ths into late 5ths. I went ahead and went with the value of trying to get guys higher up in this draft. And now we don't have picks in the 7th round, but that's okay. You feel pretty good about the guys you got. And there's some guys that are very talented. Now, did it work out the way we wanted with the offensive tackle of the future? No, I don't think it did. But we did get a very talented offensive lineman for the inside, Dominic Puny. So there was an opportunity to get a player that could eventually take over at the center position for Jake Brendel. And so I found that opportunity and I had to go ahead and do it. I'm going to go ahead and download this right here, and I'll post it on social media. But the 49ers go ahead and they get, Cooper DeWan at pick 33 after a trade back. That's going to be a nickel corner. I know it says safety here, but he's going to be nickel corner early on or play outside when Diamond Lenore. But he's going to come in and competing for nickel, competing on the outside. Very talented, very fast, help in the return game, which the 49ers need. And they've got to upgrade that cornerback position. Now that you've had Ambry Thomas that struggled a little bit and Sam Womack. And then we went, hey, let's give Brock Purdy some talent, tied in to upgrade with Jatavion Sanders. Now comes down to Braden Willis and Cam Latu competing, with Jatavion Sanders. Sanders needs to get better as an inline blocker, but he's very talented. You put him in the slot, he can make plays in that position. But another big body target for Brock Purdy to be able to get the football. Dominic Puny, the guy I talked about earlier, going ahead and moving inside, potential center. I like him in that potential role. So going ahead and getting a center of the future. Dwayne Carter at 101 was a huge value for me. I liked him there. I know early on we could have gotten Johnny Newton. We passed. We went with the cornerback, and then we get a player like Dwayne Carter later on, who I like a lot. I haven't put a full ranking on him yet, but I broke him down, and I think he's a big player. Javon Baker, big time wide receiver potential, boomer bust type guy, but you're getting him in the 4th round, and you're getting a guy that has tremendous upside, can go get the football. He's got a big body, physical. I like him at the point of attack. Jonah Ellis, the defensive end out of Utah, undersized, not prototypical size, not the 6'5" with long arms, but unique pass rush moves, very good spin move, and a motor that doesn't stop. That's the kind of guy I want, a guy that's going to set the edge and play really well for the 49ers, a solid player. And then 18 picks later, Xavier Thomas, once again, another 6'2" guy, 250 pounds, can move. These guys are athletic, and these guys are going to have a really good first step. They're going to chase down quarterbacks and put pressure on, but being able to set the edge in the run game as well. Sione Vaki, an athletic phenomenon. What does he play? Does he play on offense? Does he play on defense? Does he play linebacker? Does he play safety? I think you go out there and you figure it out who exactly Sione Vaki is, and maybe he's a lot of things. So special teams right away, and then you figure out what position he makes the most sense. Nathaniel Watson, built more like a prototypical linebacker. He's a tackler. He's a Sam-style linebacker. You bring him in and you let him come compete with Jalen Graham. If he doesn't work out, you put him on the practice squad and develop him for the future. I like the value for a linebacker there. And then with the 215 pick, Miller Bradford, I know it says safety from TCU, but I like him as a nickel corner. Very good against the point of attack, would be great against the run. And then he did really good in coverage in college, giving up just over 50% completion percentage. One of the best in the NCAA. So he did very good. I like him a lot. To me, he would make a lot of sense at that pick. I have him way above where he got drafted. Just to give you an idea of how fun I think he is going to be in the NFL. So some very good players for the San Francisco 49ers as far as this mock draft. And of course, you always think that you did a very good job when it comes to the mock draft. Now, the truth is, there's going to be mock drafts that come up that we're going to be able to get the offensive tackle, or we're going to be able to make moves. But I like that this one showed what happens if those offensive tackles aren't there. Are you convicted on how good Jordan Morgan's going to be? Are you convicted on how good Kingsley Samatai is going to be? And are those guys going to be able to help your team this year? That is one of the things that's the most interesting. You get player that can make an impact in 2024, or players that are going to impact you in 2025 and 2026. I think the key is trying to get somebody that can do both. If I went with Cooper to 1, he's a guy that could help this year right now, and he can help you down the road. 5 years of him, you get to make the decision between Lenore and Charvarius Ward. But there's big decisions to make. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section. Like and subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate you all. And this episode was brought to you by Bet Online. The game starts here. Catch you guys all in the next one. Until then, stay safe. Remember, the right way is always the 49ers way.